Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So I have not put out a podcast in a while, and I've been getting some questions about have I stopped doing the podcast and all that stuff. The answer is no. I'm still putting out the podcast. I'm just extremely busy with my fishing charter business. The month of June has been booked every day. So I have not had time literally to sit down and do a podcast until now. So it's going to be a quick podcast because I have to go to work, but I wanted to give you guys a fishing tip today. And this involves bottom fishing. And there's a lot more people bottom fishing now than I've ever seen, which is awesome. I'm glad people are getting out there, having a good time on the water with their friends and family. So I wanted to do a podcast this morning with a quick fishing tip. So this involves bottom fishing at anchor or drift fishing with stand-up rods or bent butt rods in a messed up sea. When I say messed up sea, one that's going to cause your boat to go up and down or side to side and all that good stuff. So if you're bottom fishing and you're fishing for groupers or mutton snappers with long leaders and you're using weights and all that stuff on the bottom, now Here's a little tip for you. A fish that's spawning or an aggregation of spawning, they're going to eat. They're not spooky. They're going to eat ferociously. And yeah, that's just how it goes when they're spawning. Now, we're talking about off spawning now or heavily pressured areas. When your weights are bouncing all over the place and your rod's going up and down and it's creating a lot of commotion on the bottom, and we all know that those guys that really target fish like mutton snappers know that those fish are very spooky, okay? The spear divers are going to tell you that. It's just well known. So here's one little tip I want to share with you guys. Now, if you're fishing at anchor and your boat's going up and down, and your weight's bobbing all over the place, and you're fishing with a rod that looks like it's just going with the breeze up and down, up and down. So there's a couple different things you can do. One, you can stand there and you can hold your rod steady, which absolutely sucks if the bites are few and far between. You got to hold the rod. And that's what a lot of guys are going to tell you. If you're fishing with some guides, or some fishing consultants, they're going to make you hold the rod the whole time. And I do that with grouper fishing, I'll be honest with you. I don't let a client come off the rod. If they're going to fish for groupers, they will have to hold the rod the whole time. If they can't do it, if they need to take a break, the rod either goes into somebody else's hand or it will come out of the water. I'm going to deviate a little bit. Yesterday we fished for groupers late in the afternoon. It was hot. It was really shitty out as far as the heat with no current. And my client wanted to catch a grouper. And he sat on the rod for 30 minutes. He held the rod for 30 minutes. And just when he thought that the fish was not going to, he wasn't going to get a bite, the fish slammed it. And we caught the grouper. So he prevented him from going to the bottom, and we caught him. And the later we get into the heat of the summer, the fishing is going to get a little bit more challenging, especially on the reef, when it comes to when these fish are going to bite, the heat. So the heat takes its toll on an angler, so especially if they're not conditioned to fish in the sun. So those are the things that you have to keep in mind when you're trying to catch a fish. And if you're going to get lazy and put the rod in the rod holder with a grouper, you better be on it, or you're going to lose the fish. I'm just saying. So, but that's how long sometimes it takes for a fish to eat when it's not really happening. And then we ended up catching a double yesterday and was really cool. So, but anyway, so back to the mutton snapper tip here. And this goes for anything on the bottom, okay? When you're drift fishing, when you're at anchor in a little rougher sea, you don't want your rod tip bouncing all around. And yeah, you're going to catch the active fish, but that's probably going to be it. Because those bigger fish will back off. And I'm sorry, but when you fish every day, you see it. So, and I see it with guys that'll fish alongside me, and I'll show the clients, they'll come up and anchor alongside me and say, yeah, they're going to catch some active fish, and then watch. They're going to sit there, and then they're not going to catch much. And that tends to be what happens. And they're like, how'd you know? I said, I just know. So there's a lot more that goes into it. And so that's something that I like to share in the rigging crew groups and stuff. So if you're looking to get involved with the private rigging group that I have, it's you can email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com, and I talk a little bit about that kind of stuff. But here's what I'm going to share today is we use, in order to prevent the rods and the lines from bouncing all over the place, I use a flat line clip, and I attach that to the cleat. And basically it's just like a trolling clip that you attach to the cleat. And what happens is, and I modify it, I use the Penn light tension release clip. That's for sale in the goodkarmafishingtackle.com. It's the blue light tension release clip. How you guys make your release clips, just Google it. You can modify them, make them for whatever length you want to make them. Anyways, so here's what I recommend you do. You use the blue tension, the blue colored Penn release. That's what I use on my downriggers when I wahoo fish. It's got the perfect tension, and I also use it on my outriggers. It's perfect for sails, and so where they don't feel the line when they on the drop back. It's absolutely awesome. That's the best release clip for light tension. So what I do is I have the angler set his line. Then I attach the main line to the flat line clip, and then I leave the reel in, I lighten the drag on the reel, and then I play with the tension so there's like minimal pressure between the main line that's attached to the flat line clip, so it eliminates the bouncing of the rod going up and down. So, and also too, it keeps that line low to the water. So when the fish strikes, it creates some drop back, which allows the mutton snapper to swallow the fish head first, which they always do. That's how mutton snappers eat, okay? So if they're really finicky fish, and a lot of fish out there are really finicky because they're just getting freaking hammered out there. So you have to use these little tweaks that are going to help you catch more fish, okay? Now, you can also have the angler hold the rod, and a lot of people don't like to hold the rod. They would rather sit and watch the rod, and I see it all the time. So this is honestly what I would do is, especially if you're drift fishing, is to just attach your main line to your flat line clip and have your rod, loosen your drag. So when the fish eats it, it creates some drop back. And then also too, that fish is not going to feel the weight either. So it gives him enough drop back it just eliminates that. So there's no pressure coming off of the main drag, and it allows 3 to 4 seconds, which is enough, I think, 5 seconds to give it similar to sail fishing. And it also will help if you're fishing heavy leads because it creates some drop back. There's extra slack in the line, and you want that when the fish are finicky. You have to give them time to swallow the bait. Or if you have an angler that wants to jam on the rod pretty quickly or is overly adrenaline hyped in the morning, there's always different things that you see, and people get really excited. They want to flip their drags all the way up. Even after you show them what's happening, they still get overly excited, and this will really help. So like I said, you want your lines to be as still as possible. You don't want them bobbing up and down. So you absolutely have to do your best. And if you're continually marking fish and you're not getting eaten, there's something that's going on. It might be your bait. It might be the way things are being presented to them. So try that flat line release. That's what I would suggest. Try one. What I like to do is that if I'm trying something new, and I'm not afraid to try something new, if I feel that it's going to work. And my brain will tell me. It might take me a trip or two to figure it out whether, hey, I think that's going to work. So I have to analyze some things. And also, too, I use the light tension release, but it works for me. Now, my boat runs a lot different than others. So you may want to use a Black's clip. You may want to use a roller clip. Just don't, take what I do and copy it. So you want to, like I said, I just given you guys some ideas. And what I want you guys to do is buy a couple different clips. They don't have to be the clips that I use. You can buy you may need to get the heavy Penn release clip. You may need to get a roller clip. You can use black. You can set up you can, even if you don't want to spend the money on the roller clips, you can buy smaller rigging rubber bands and do a rubber band where a light tension rubber band where it breaks at like a half a pound of pressure or a pound of pressure, 1 to 2 pounds of pressure. I don't know. All I'm saying is that modify things that work for you. Okay. Now, also too, you can have the angler pinch the line, okay? And what he can do is he can feel for that bite, and that fish is going to rip it out of his fingertips. So that's something else. So just keep that in mind. There's various different things that you can do to keep that line from bouncing that rod tip. When that rod tip's bouncing up and down and swaying all over the place, it's tough when those fish are not eating well, okay? So you can buy some you can buy those mini outriggers. You can just do all sorts of different shit to make it work for you. Just don't take what I do and copy it because it may not work for your boat, okay? So you have to modify some things. So take these ideas, okay, and then create your own. And that's what's so great about fishing and life in general is that you can take ideas that you were given from somebody and create your own. And that's how fishing works. It's that's how it works. It's it's the history of fishing. Somebody teaches somebody one thing and then somebody teaches another guy another technique, and that's just the nature of it's just the nature of fishing, guys. It's like teaching your kids how to fish. It's just, and then the kid invents hey Dad, why don't we do it like this? And then the dad kind of resists, and then the dad's okay, let's try it. And the kid catches the fish, and then the dad starts doing it, and then the dad teaches somebody else down the road, his neighbors, hey, look what my kid taught me. So that's fishing. Oh my gosh, that's what makes me love it so much. And that's part of the reason why I do the podcast. I love it so much. That's all I got for today. And first before I sign off today, I want to say thank you so much to the podcast listeners that booked with me this month. I'm so thankful that you guys fished with me and we had an awesome time. It's the amount of fish that we caught is unreal. So thank you guys for putting in the work. I always tell my clients when the new clients fish with me, it's about the work, and the work that you want to put in really comes down to the amount of fish that you're going to catch. I tell people I'm going to make them bite and I'm going to find them fish. And what it comes down to is the angler and how much he wants to put into it and how much work he wants to put into it. I do not reel in the fish for people. And the anglers are responsible for setting their own hooks and setting their own lines. I teach them. It's a very active fishing experience. You're learning something. You're not sitting back and watching the mate fish and watching mates hook fish and hand you the rod. My fishing charters are not like that. And I am 100% active with my clients as I want them to learn and I want them to have an awesome fishing experience and take something back with them. More than just the fish. I want to give them some knowledge that will help them become better fishermen. Now, think about that a little bit. Knowledge, to me, is worth its weight in gold. That's all I've got for today, guys. Thank you again. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's goodkarmasportfishing_FL_keys. And you can also email me at goodkarmaryan@gmail.com if you're wishing to book a charter. I do not accept reservations through Instagram, nor do I check my direct messages much anymore. So I'm on Instagram very, very little, just to post some pictures now and then. And if you're a regular client that does not see me posting and you have a trip on the books with me, I will let you know what I'm catching through email. So that's all I've got for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.